right, so drawing one, here we are again in the drawing studio this time. I've set up a mirror and the paper, both on the easel. I raised up the tray, the easel tray, until it's about waist height or so. And these mirrors, which I have a stack of mirrors in the corner of the drawing studio here, if you want to come in and use the lighting and use the space, please do that, because I guarantee you'll have a single light source and it'll be a little bit easier for you to do the self-portrait this way. If you try to do it at home, let's say that you use your bathroom mirror, you have to have a strong light source and you have to have a single direction light source. So if you brought in, let's say you brought in a lamp into your bathroom, that could work because a lamp will give you just a single direction. Whereas normally a bathroom is really lit up and you have multiple lights, and it's going to be really hard to see the light and shadow shapes on your face. So that's the essence of what we're doing here. You should be working in vine charcoal, maybe compressed charcoal. Make sure that you have an eraser. And I've already set some things out here. I've got some paper towel, some wet paper towel for my fingers. If you're in the space and you decide that you want to wear your mask, if you don't feel comfortable taking your mask off here, if no one is around, then technically you're allowed to wear your mask in a room by yourself. At least that's the way I understand it. But if you want to wear your mask, that's perfectly fine too. The goal of this is not to make a perfect drawing, nor even a perfect likeness. What I'm suggesting that you do is make a value drawing that has some depth and some structure. So this is not like an anime face. So like if you have like an anime style and you're already really comfortable making a line drawing with anime kind of distortions or whatever, please don't try that. That's not what we're looking for here. So and by the way, if you already have that, if you have an understanding of the proportions of the head, it might be a little bit easier for you. Just remember that you have to be using your eyes. You have to be looking while you're drawing. Okay, so I haven't done anything to the paper yet. I figured I'm just going to dive in here. I can see, it's kind of weird how everything is set up here, but it kind of made sense to me to have the lighting like this. I tried to turn down, you can see how dark the overall image is with the iPad, with my camera, because I didn't want there to be any glare on the page. I realized, Austin told me last time that that was a problem when I did the other demo. So, believe it or not, the first thing that I'm doing is I am creating a boundary around the outside. And so what I'm looking for here is the general shape of the outside of the head. So this includes this is going to include my shoulders. So another term for this is it's a bust. So it's going to include my shirt. So there's like a collar of my shirt here. And it's going to include my head. Now, this right now kind of looks like a cartoon. I mean, and in fact, the word for cartoon, or the term, actually was used first for Renaissance paintings. When they did a drawing before they actually started to put color onto a painting, it's called a cartoon. So anytime you have a line like this, basically that's what you're doing. Okay, so that's about as much line as I need right off at the beginning. Now, this is where things, and I think you guys are going to find some comfort in being able to look for this initial shape, this outline here. This is pretty easy to do. You all can do this as long as you're looking at your image while you're drawing. and not drawing from what you know. So, or what your brain is trying to tell you. Now this is where it's gonna get super interesting really fast. And this is gonna be something that you probably haven't done or wouldn't expect. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just basically tone in the shadow shape on my head. And so, again, I can't do this unless I'm looking. So what I see here is a shadow shape where my eye, the eye, obviously the eye that's in shadow. Now I'm out of the shadow shape here, but now I see another shadow shape where my nose is. Now I'm noticing, when I'm just looking for shapes, I'm noticing that this shape here, it's almost connected like this. But I'm noticing that this shape here is kind of almost like a triangle shape. I'm noticing that there's a cast shadow that comes down here. And there's another shadow shape that happens down here. And everything, you'll notice sometimes I switch from using the side of the charcoal to making lines. Okay, and now I even have a cast shadow shape that happens down here on my shirt. So, like this. Okay, now, that may seem like the most absurd way to begin a portrait. And what this does is it keeps you away from drawing more lines, like trying to draw the shape of the eye. You know, like all of these little things, and like eyelashes, and then the nostril. You start drawing shapes like this, and it's gonna turn into a disaster really quick. Now there's a time for finding these shapes, but it's not yet. Okay, so here we are. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start, and by the way, I wanna tell you, there are a few things that your brain, a few ways that your brain is gonna mess with your drawing. And so, one of the things that your brain is gonna tell you is that the eyes are farther up on the head than they actually are when you're looking. Now, depending on the angle of the mirror, right now I have the mirror, it's angled slightly up. So actually, if I were to map out the halfway point of my face, it's going to be a little bit below the eyes. So this is a little bit unusual. If the mirror was straight on, my eyes, the center of my eyes that goes through the eye sockets, would be the halfway point on the head, halfway between the chin and the top of my head. Not the top of my hair, not that I have a whole lot there, but not the top of my hair, but the top of my head. Okay, the cranium, plus a little skin, whatever. Okay, now notice I'm also, while I'm drawing, I haven't mentioned this, you know, I turned around, I'm keeping one of my legs planted. So my left foot is planted so that when I get back in place, I can turn my face so that I get the same shadow shape that I have right here. So one of the nice things about getting the shadow shape is it tells you, by the way, I missed a shadow shape over here, which is the other side, the other eye. All right, so okay, so this is the general shape of the head. Now notice, once I put the other eye in there, notice that now it's actually starting to look, it's starting to develop a sense of depth. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to develop the background a little bit. So many of you most of you probably appreciate how toning the background can really help develop a sense of depth and space in your drawing. That's what I'm going to do here. Oh. Okay. Now I don't want to lose the contour over here, but luckily I do have a pretty decent line already established over here. And so, guess what? Time for a little blending. So, because we want to, when you put the charcoal down on the page, again, I think I'm telling you something that most of you already know, but it has to be blended into the page, or else it's going to look like static. It's not going to be something that is soft enough for you to develop a sense of depth. So I'm even blending a little bit on the head now. I don't want to overblend this. I don't want to obliterate it, because I do have some boundary lines here that are going to be important for me. Okay. It looks a little ghoulish, doesn't it? All right. Happy October 31, right? Here we go. Self-portrait as a ghoul. Self-portrait as Slender Man. Let's round that head off entirely. Okay. So, I just realized I have to get my eraser. Crap, I'm gonna lose one. No. I can do this without moving my foot. There we go. All right. So what I'm going to use my eraser for is to pull out a light on the tip of the nose. So one of the things that I'm looking for is the center line. Okay, let me finish my thought. What I'm looking for here is the center line of the face. So being able to track this line right here, which goes down the lips, and then I'm going to draw it very lightly here, right down to my chin here. And while I'm at it, I do see another shadow shape over here. It's a little bit lighter. Or, yeah, it's fainter. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start laying in some shadows here. Now, notice the center line of the face, it's not a straight line. So, some of you have probably learned how to draw a face where you do this, and you put the eyes over here, the nose goes here, and then the mouth is over here. And you might be used to drawing a straight line like that. But in real life, when you're working, you're going to find that the center line of the face is a curve like this. Okay, so having established where the center line is, again, this is going to help me to get my pose back where it needs to be. Okay, now I'm going back into the eye on the other side here. So, and now, okay, so having established some of the darker shapes here, I can start to draw in a little bit some of the lines of the eyebrow. Now, I'm not trying to get too nitpicky with that while I'm at it. I tend to wander quite a bit. So now I'm going up to the hair. I'll get back to this my thought here in just a minute. So I'm just wanting to come back up and put a little more into the shadow areas here. Okay. It's going to be natural to move around slightly while you're drawing, and so anytime you move ever so slightly, the light and dark shapes are going to change. So that's the importance of this initial shadow shape that we made here. And go back. So now I'm having worked my way around here a little bit. Got the ear. So there's kind of a roughly my jawline happens in this area here. Back to, I'm even going to reestablish the shape of the shadow again. The cast shadow that comes down from my neck. So it's all down here. A nice big nose right there. Okay, now blend that in again, just a little bit. Now I don't want to lose these lines, so I just want to, I realize I've demonstrated sometimes in blending. Sometimes I feel like I've gone just a little too far. I just kind of like washed away the whole drawing. And so at times I've seen you all do that as well. So just lightly blend. Okay, so keep on going here. How are we doing for time? Let me see. 16 minutes. Okay, this is not bad. 16 minutes. I think I should be done by a half hour. Let's see what happens here. So now I'm going to go back and I'm looking at the shadow shapes again. And so I see that there's a pretty interesting kind of triangular shadow shape that happens on this side of my face. Looks like I drew my ear a little bit too far out there. Curve the bottom of the neck, shoulders, like that. See, I'll spend a little time up here, but then I'll kind of move around. And I think just as a painter, but I mean also as someone who draws a lot as part of what I do, I know the importance of moving around and not getting stuck in one position for too long. Okay. So now I've got the shadow shape here. And by the way, what I've lost here, and I'm going to pull this out with my eraser. I'm also going to soften this center line that I drew before. What I'm starting to lose here is the light that's falling on the nose. I'm going to do this. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking at the light shape and how it connects back and to the wing of the nostril right here. Okay. And one of the things that becomes important here is while I'm looking, I've got the outside edge of the nose here, and there's a shadow shape in there. There is a dark in here. I don't want to go too dark with that. This is the tip of the nose, like this. And then I see a darker plane right here. And then, of course, the whole shadow comes down here. And then another plane over here. And then the shape of the lips, top lip is going to look something like this. Got this shadow over here. And one of the things that will surprise you when you're drawing your own face. By the way, I didn't say this at the very beginning. You should not be looking straight at your image. That's going to be the hardest way to create a portrait that has a sense of volume or depth. You should be looking not at a profile, but halfway between a profile and straight on. It's called a 3/4 view. So that's going to be the easiest way for you to really create a sense of volume and depth in your portrait. Wow, that resembles Hitler just a little bit. Am I wrong? Let's blend this out just a tad. Oh my gosh, can't believe I said that. Don't quote me and do not share this video. Okay, here we go. I'm also going to pull out a light over here because I see it. Pull out a light where my eye is on that side. Let's soften this line over here just a little bit and use the eraser on the other side of this line. One of the things that I'm noticing while I keep on saying this, while I'm looking, I notice how bright this shape is over here. And while I'm at it, there's actually a little bit of tone up here. Let me pull some of this from the background. A little tone up here, because it's not this bright until I get to that area right there. Okay, got some lines on the eye, got some lines where the nostril is over here. I keep on putting, getting charcoal on the bridge of my nose. And I have to keep on going back and making sure to clean it up a little bit. I've got this one little area of light, a sliver of light that happens over here, triangle there, triangle on the edge of my, the wing of the nose over here. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull out two things. The area right over my eye. So this is the eye socket. And pull that out first. Now, I'm going to go back up and put in some slightly darker lines. I can come in with, this is where my eyebrow is. Okay, now I'm going to put some darks for where the pupil of the eye is, like this. And like I said, now it's time to pull some light out of the eye. Just a little bit. I don't want to make this too bright. Remember, this is all in shadow, so if I make this very bright, then it ain't going to work. It's going to look really funny. And pull some lights directly under here. I want to really pull some lights out of this area. Right here. Okay. And I'm going to pull some random lights out on the forehead here. Actually, it's really bright. Right here. And I see some shadow shapes from cast shadows from my hair up there. Pull a couple shapes out on my ears here. Now notice, I haven't been talking about how you draw an eye, how you draw the nose, how you draw the ear. In fact, one of the things that's going to really mess you up while you're working is if you think about that, while you're looking, if you think to yourself, I'm looking at the ear, your brain is going to get in the way because your brain thinks it knows a whole lot about what an ear looks like. But I just want to encourage you to simply draw the shapes that you see. All right. Got my silly earring down there. And I'm actually getting pretty close here. And this is the way that I want, when it comes to a finished drawing, I'm not looking for you all to make something that is something that is a perfect likeness or a masterpiece. I'm just looking for something that's in the ballpark of in the ballpark. Okay, I think I made this eye just a little bit big here. Okay, this is looking not terribly bad. Now I actually have to bring this side in a little bit more. I think I actually let it go a little bit too wide here. So let's do this, and now it's starting to feel a little bit more like closer to a likeness. Now, blend this just a little bit. Now this is a pretty sharp line right here now, so I can use just a corner of paper towel, and I can blend that line just a little bit to soften it if I need to. Roll off some of the eraser crumbs. I'm going to go back into here, pull out just a little bit of white in the eye, and I'm getting close now. I think I actually made my nose. I know I'm not supposed to talk about it like this, but I made the nose a little bit small. So I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this. There we go. This is a little more like it. Yes. Look at how dark the lines are now, but this can be softened. There we go. Yeah, once I soften it, that makes a big difference. And now I can use the eraser on the other side of this line, and I can pull out some light because that's what I see over here especially. And one more area of light that I'm noticing is this weird curved shadow here. More area of light is the top of my mouth. And looks like things got a little bit big here. So we're going to knock this back slightly. I don't want to lose the dark. So there's always this kind of back and forth that happens every time I pull out light. It's like I have to reinforce the darks that are nearby. In fact, noticing there's some lights underneath the nose, on the bottom of the nose here. Looks kind of funny with these lines that I haven't blended yet. Here. Okay. Now there's something weird that's happening here, and what I realized, it's like the mouth has moved over a bit too far. So the center of the mouth, let me just locate that. There's like a notch here. I'm going to redraw this over here. You'll see how everything changes. So there's a shape here. The shape is not symmetrical on the mouth. So what I see over here is a different shape than what I see on this side. Now, do you see how everything changed when I pulled that over? I might have pulled it over too far. Anyway, the bottom lip here, it carries a pretty bright light, and then the only thing, this is a big thing, I'm realizing that I'm missing the shadow shape down here, so I've lost that. So let's put that back in here. And actually, I'm going to kind of fill this shadow in the whole way here. Now notice I'm working with hatch marks to create that a sense of structure and plane on my face here. Okay. Now I can, anything that happens now, which by the way, this is the point where I think, let me blend this, it gets a little bit too light over here. this is the point where I would say, when you get to this level of detail, you're done, you're good. And we haven't lost a sense of the lights and shadows on the face. Okay, as I say that, I'm realizing, okay, I have a little bit. I lost a little bit of light over here. So I'm going to pull that out just a little bit brighter. There's a light over here. I can emphasize the light on this side a little bit more. And I have some room to go in if I want to. I have some room to go in and create some darker darks up here. And if I want to have things like, if I want to show some detail in the hair, that can all happen after I've laid in all the value here. So I can show just a little bit of that by going back into the hair. I haven't done much with the background, if you've noticed. The background is still pretty much the same. Now, I'm going to end it here. I don't want to keep on going because if I do, I don't want you to feel like I'm raising the bar too far for you guys. 31 minutes, that's not terrible. Does this look like me? No, not really. Is it perfect? No. I can tell just by looking at it that the eye shape here got a little bit funny. I think one thing I need to do is like pull this dark down a little bit more. Okay, oops. Blending with the finger when you've been using the paper towel does not work. Do I have enough white in the eye? No. So a couple adjustments here are going to help. This eye, actually, this eye's not so bad, but the bridge of the nose doesn't come out quite far enough. I said I wasn't going to raise the bar too high. And, one thing that I did lose here, it's going to really help, is there is a shadow on the brow that looks a little bit like this. And getting that shadow in place, using some hatch marks, getting that shadow in place. Unibrow. Yay! Go unibrow. That will help. I can pull out a few lights in my eyebrows on the other side too. So once you get to the point where you're just refining things like this, then you've won the battle. And I know this kind of drawing is going to be. It can be really frustrating and it can be really challenging for you guys. I know that. That's why I'm trying to say, like, I'm trying to give you a process that if you follow it, it's gonna help. You're not gonna make, most of you are not gonna make a self-portrait that is a likeness. That is absolutely not the goal of this. The goal of this is to create something that has a sense of volume and structure, and it's about also just learning the process of how to put things, how to get the proportions in the right place. Speaking of which, as I'm looking, I'm realizing how the ear actually deserves to be a little farther out there. More like that. Yeah, I think I got that. The shape was just a little bit too shallow. So, something like that. Okay, I could noodle on this all day, or noodle with this all day, and in the end, it's decent. It's weird. It's weird because, it's not perfect. But, yeah, this is the goal. So, it took me a half hour. I figure it might take you guys a couple tries. If you stay away from using contours, and if like one of the things that I would do, when you when you start to set things up is really, I would think about the video. You could, even if you just kind of like fast forward through the video to just see the different techniques that I'm doing. And then imagine yourself, before you even start drawing, don't draw the way that you're used to. You know, if you've been taught to draw a portrait by drawing one eye first, like, don't do that. It's not gonna work. It won't work for this. So please just trust me, follow this technique, follow this procedure, you know, and see where it takes you. If you've made some good self-portraits that have good proportions, or, you know, if you've worked with like an anime style before, do this, and then your anime style will be enhanced by what you know here. Okay, I think that's it. I didn't really talk much about so this is good drawing paper. If you want to do a practice sketch on newsprint, you could do that. And then, you know, I imagine you're probably going to make a couple drawings. Don't throw your drawings away. I think it's probably valuable for you to keep the work, even if you, let's say you spend 20 minutes on it and you get frustrated. It's okay to move on, to do another drawing, but save that one. Sometimes if I imagine, you'll probably think a drawing is crap. Save it anyway, and then let me take a look at it. And you don't have to show it for critique. Just show the good one for critique, or the one that's the most developed. Okay, I think that's it. So I hope you guys have fun with this. I really recommend that you come into the drawing studio, turn on the studio lights, move things around so that you have a clear light shape and shadow shape on your face while you're working. Use Vine charcoal. I didn't even use compressed charcoal on here. The truth is, I don't think I think it might just lead to trouble. You know, use your eraser, and remember that the way to create form in here is to use hatching to create planes on the face. That's all. All right, enjoy.